This is yours truly again. I'm just going to try and get some advice on how I present my evidence that I'm an innocent party in my marital proceedings. My wife unilaterally has declared that I'm evil and that she wants rid of the commitment to fund me. She's declared that when I was left Boots in 2010, that I have not done a stroke of work ever since. I've got massive statistics on that. I can present the graphs in the courtroom, and I want you to know that when my wife went into her high earning phase at a company called Plexus, she began to subdivide our earnings and only declared £1,100 a month coming into the family income, so that she could show that our balance sheet was preciously close to insolvency, even although I made the offer as soon as the divorce writ came through to take my pensions and to double the family income. Now I'm left in a position where I do not know who I have to communicate with to defend myself, and Sheriff Halley has placed a gagging order on me communicating with him before the case, or any other member of the judiciary who's been involved with it, and that includes people that encouraged me to engage solicitors. And when Sheriff Drummond heard my criminal case, he would not allow me. This is the man who's imposed the gagging order on communication with the courts and with the judiciary. He would not allow me to plead not guilty, even although the solicitor that gave me that advice was in the court on the day. He asked us to leave the room and for me to change my mind. He imposed the guilt on me. He would not allow it to proceed to a hearing where I was intending to plead not guilty, using a solicitor's advice called Ross from Wardlaw et al. In Edinburgh. Okay, right then, so I'm trying to get guidance on which forms to fill in and who they need to be forwarded to. So I'm going to try again in the Galashiels and Peebles region. I've already tried Bannerman and Burke, and I've tried solicitors all over the borders, and I will post on my web pages my letters to solicitors from Perth in the Central Belt in Scotland to Newcastle, and that includes in the south of the border attorneys in the south of the border. Defending yourself in law cases is much cheaper, and they have sophisticated access to attorneys without the need to blow your cash on a solicitor before you get there. Okay, so it's a company that's just set up in Kelso, and they're called Kilshaw, Cullen and Kilshaw, and I'm quite stunned that there are people called Cullen and Kilshaw on the directorate at KPMG who are involved in the insolvency proceedings for massive hotels like Ednam House in our region. Now when you look at the corporate ownership of those hotels in the Schloss chain, that's the Schloss region near Essen that used to be run by the Krupps, the massive munitions magnates from Germany. But when you look at the ownership of the Scottish hotels, they tell you in the media that they are owned by a Church of Scotland vicar, but when you look on Company Check, they're actually owned by KPMG. So this company, Cullen and Kilshaw, may have much more experience than I need in this relatively simple case, but there's only one way to find out. And they've got, it's 01721 723 999. Hello, I talked to a very genial girl in your Kelso branch about whether or not I could get access, or just a 5-minute discussion with an experienced divorce solicitor, or just one of their administrators. I've got some very simple questions that even the clerks and the administrators will be able to answer for me. And she said that you were involved in that side of the business in Peebles and, was it Gala? It's Professor George Lees. Magic, thank you. Hi, have you got experience in the marital sector? Alright, I've got some very naive questions, but I've gotten this far, and we're getting near the final hearing now, and we've had several pre-hearings, but I'm presented with a case that I'm defending myself, but I don't know who I need to which forums I need to fill in, and who I need to forward the data on that contests the issues that are proclaimed in a series of 3 writs that have been issued by my wife's solicitor. And if I can just get access to the correct forums and who needs to know about my rebuttals, that would be plenty good, and I can pay you a small fee for that, but I'd prefer to defend myself if that's possible. Alright, so it's just processing the numbers and the subdivisions and things. Can you think of anybody, even somebody that's retired, that might be able to tell me which pro formas I need to fill? Yeah, I've tried every firm between Perth and Newcastle, and I've tried a couple of attorneys south of the border that operate across the border, but they just want to take it on. But that's ever so kind of you and constructive. Yeah, thank you for your help though. Bye. So, not contested cases, only run-of-the-mill, take the money and run. Cullen and Kilshaw also, like almost all of the other firms, are associated with a very large real estate empire beyond the breaking up of the homes that are usually uncontested, because when it's declared that you've done something wrong, it is very, very difficult to find somebody with the pluck to try and prove that there is nothing behind that accusation. I'm determined to do it myself, and I'm going to do it online relentlessly, and I will not relent. And when I get the evidence together, I will be litigating against these corporate teams, and the fallout from that will be massive. I need to go to the door, I've got a visitor.